It's guaranteed to blow your mind.
Hello and welcome back to Wildstar Weekly. My name is Phil. The date is the 3rd of May, and this week we'll be talking about Wildstar Uplink, PC Gamers Hands-On, and Storm Talon's Lair. So welcome to another week of Wildstar news. I'm glad to have you with me, and to start off this week we're actually going to touch on a little bit of what we went over last week with the live streams. Now if you don't remember, David Bass, the senior community manager, tweeted about having a successful live stream in the studio, and they've been testing out live streams basically. And this week we follow it up with another tweet from the Wildstar team on their actual official Twitter, which says, what can we do to make those who cannot attend our Wildstar events feel more included? Now last week we talked about people who can't get into the beta, people who can't get into events, and this was sort of the idea behind this live stream idea. So they added the hashtag Wildstar Uplink, which we'll talk about later on, but Mike Joseph, also known as Owlwolf from wildstarfans.net, replied to this tweet saying any type of live stream that makes fans feel interested and more in the loop. Now, it didn't say that at all, but pretty much along the same lines. And Team Wildstar actually replied to his tweet saying that's definitely something we have in mind. So it's pretty much semi-confirmed that they'll be doing a live stream, and that would possibly be showing us some brand new gameplay that we haven't seen before. So in the next couple of weeks, on a Tuesday, we can expect a live stream that will be showing us something new. So that's definitely something to look forward to. And off the back of all that, I want to talk more about Wildstar Uplink and what it is and why it is good. So Wildstar Uplink is literally just a bridge of communication between us as the community and the Carbine team as developers. So we are able to use the social media channels to make suggestions, to ask questions, and basically the Carbine team can give us a topic they want to know more about from us lot, and we can use these social media channels to give our response. So for example, this time round it is to do with events and us not being able to go to events or participate in the beta. If we cannot do that, then this is a way for us to tell them how we want to feel involved. You know, do we want a live stream? Do we want a video? Do we want more articles? Do we want a podcast from the actual Carbine team? You know, what do we want to feel more involved? And you can use this hashtag WSUplink to do that. And again, this really brings out the transparency in the Carbine team who are working on Wildstar. They don't want anyone to miss out on anything, and it's just exciting because we do have a long wait until the game's going to actually be released. Hell, we're going to have a long wait until the game's going to be even in open beta. So the transparency that the Carbine team have and the way they want the actual community to feel involved makes me a lot more excited to get hyped for this game, because I know that we're not going to miss out on anything, and each week there's always going to be something to look forward to. The guild Subterfuge Vanguard, also known for their Late Night Dominion podcast, are going to be hosting a charity event for Child's Play. The event is going to be ran over 24 hours starting on May the 18th at 10 AM EST. That's 10 AM EST on May the 18th. This is a community-driven event to raise money for Child's Play. They will be playing various games throughout the day, such as Minecraft, League of Legends, Team Fortress 2, all to have fun and raise money for a great cause. Support them by getting involved, watching the stream, and you can already donate, and the link will be in the description for that, and all the details will be there. PC Gamer have written an article on their experiences in Wildstar. Being a major gaming news website and magazine, I felt that their opinions on Wildstar will be quite important to see how the game is going to be received by major press. Fortunately, they seem to absolutely love the game, coming into the game with a lot of MMO experience in the past. They came into the game extremely critically and cynically, but they still absolutely loved Wildstar, and they seem to acknowledge the fact that it's a game made for MMORPG gamers and not a game to entice new players into the genre. A quote made from the article itself is, "The game blends to accommodate my momentum, working in smart ways to ensure that I don't miss out." So if you're looking to see how the press received Wildstar, PC Gamer is a great read. Speculation Zone. So it's that time again where it comes to our speculation zone, and this week I'm quite excited for this one. We're going to be talking about betting in PvP. So betting is when you put money on the chances of a team winning a game. Now in an MMORPG, especially in the PvP scene where you've got arenas, battlegrounds and even dueling, betting can become quite a big thing within the game, and you can imagine it being quite a sort of interesting dynamic to the way the game is played already. Although I do think this is a cool idea, I find it hard to imagine it working within an MMO. I think there's just too many sort of back alleys that people would take. You know, it takes more out of the game than it puts into the game. Because yes, you've got betting in your game, you can bet on different arenas, and it's quite a cool, interesting, competitive aspect to PvP. But if you think about what it takes out of the game, there'll be stuff like bet fixes, there'll be gold sellers trying to sell people, you know, doing bet fixes by trying to sell gold, there'll be scams going on, there'll be people trying to cheat the system, there'll be weird bet systems with like 2-to-1, you know, how are they going to, you know, manage the whole betting system, how do they weigh up which team's going to have more odds of winning? You know, I think there's too much thought that has to go behind it to make it an amazing feature within the game for the amount of development time which has to be put into the actual system. So I don't think it's a legitimate idea to be put into the game, although it's a very cool and interesting way of thinking about how to reward PvP and how to observe PvP and how people go about looking at it in general. Because if you're not a PvP player, I bet there's a ton of people out there that would still go and watch a ton of PvP matches just to bet on the games, because it'd be fun to watch and it'd be fun to do some like live betting whilst watching the games. So although it's a hard idea to put into the game, I think the ideas behind it are solid and are there to be worked with. So for example, you can have betting in the game but using something like PvP currency. Like in World of Warcraft, how you have honor and conquest points, you can have a similar currency to use for betting. So you don't actually bet money, but you'll bet your PvP currency that you use to spend on certain vanity items or gear or items for your houses or all of those things, and that's what you use to bet within the system. However, even with the PvP currency system, I think we still come to the same conclusion as we did with the normal currency system, because it takes out more from the game than it puts in, because betting is supposed to be a behind the scenes, a sort of fallback on your normal PvP day, so that you could do it for fun, you can put a little bit of money here and there, and you can play betting arena matches just for the fun of it and for a more competitive aspect of your playstyle. But it's not supposed to be used for sort of gear progression and actually, you know, getting what you want from the game, if you like. The emphasis on PvP is supposed to be around arenas, war plots and battlegrounds, whereas I think as soon as you put a betting system into the game, the competitive scene would gravitate around it, because that's where the big cash is for the big players. You know, if you get your gear through betting, people would bow down to you more so than if you get your gear through battlegrounds and arenas and what have you. And it's a quicker, easier way to get your gear if you're a skilled enough player. So I think it takes out more from the game than it puts in, because it diverts the focus of PvP from arenas and battlegrounds and war plots onto betting. So the general idea is to not allow betting to take away from the current systems that are within the game. So for example, we've already got arenas, war plots, battlegrounds, and another soft, more casual style of PvP, for example, is dueling. And I think betting should be along the same lines as dueling, where it's a much more casual way of sort of chilling out, having fun with your friends type of PvP, rather than actually being a competitive source of PvP within Wildstar. We've gone over having normal currency, PvP currency, but I think the way to make it work legitimately is just by having a brand new weird type of currency that's just betting coins, or similar to sort of a thing like poker chips, wherein you can maybe get poker chips, or, well, the betting currency, let's just call it. You can just get these coins throughout the world by doing whatever. You know, maybe you've done a quest for some dodgy guy behind, you know, a building in a city down a back alley, and for a reward he just gives you, you know, 10 betting coins or whatever. So throughout your leveling and your just world exploring experience, you just pick up a load of these random betting coins, and then you can use these to get a lot more of them through the betting arena and the betting duels, and you can use these in all sorts of situations. So if I want to duel with my friend, I can do a normal duel with him, or I can do a staked duel with him. And the staked duel, I'll be able to throw down like 50 betting coins, and if I win I get 100, and then I might take that 100 and go into arena and say, hey guys, let's all put in 100 betting coins and try to get 100 back for each of us. So we win that arena match, that betted arena match, and then I get 200 coins on me now. So now I'm like, whoa, I've got a ton of these coins, so I might even stake those 200 coins on another duel and hopefully win that, and then I've got 400, and then I can spend those 400 on a cool sort of planet, I don't know, achievement sort of certificate to put on my wall saying I'm a badass at dueling or whatever it might be. So to spend the betting coins on vanity items like housing items, maybe even skins for your gear and weapons and stuff, and to have it like ridiculously expensive, so you can get like a, I don't know, a chainsaw or something for like 10,000 betting coins. That would take you absolutely ages to get, but if you get it, it shows that you're awesome at PvP. So I think that's the way to sort of dampen down the legitimate, like, crazy hacking and nonsense to do with betting, to make it a much more fun and family friendly, in quotations, way of doing PvP. So let me know your thoughts on that, to see, because I want to know what you guys think of it, because it took me quite a while to sort of think about how betting could possibly work within a game without making loads and loads and loads of problems come up. So I think the betting coins idea sort of dampens the idea of making a ton of money from betting down to just getting a few cool items from betting instead. But hey, who knows? A couple of other things I wanted to sort of speculate on as well is that if they do have some sort of dueling or betting system within the game, I know duels have already been confirmed, but I would love to see something along the lines of like a dueling pit or a betting pit. And so say, for example, you've got your major city within the game, and in this sort of back alley, rundown streets area of the city, you can go sort of underground into the dueling pit, where you can actually watch duels live in front of you, because a lot of people just watch duels anyway, outside of the city gates, or whilst they're waiting to queue for PvP, whilst they're waiting to queue for dungeons, whatever it is. People just usually duel or just chill out outside of a city or whatever. So it's just sort of putting a system to what people already are doing. So if people are already watching duels, then put a system in place where people can legitimately watch duels within the game properly, like actual live duels going on, where you go into like a little stadium and you can actually watch, or like the easiest example I could possibly give is like a Colosseum. So you can just walk up into the seats of the Colosseum, maybe even right click to sit down and watch an actual live arena match or a live duel going on whilst you're queuing for a dungeon or whatever. I have no idea if that's even possible, but that would be absolutely awesome to see. But I know I've been rambling on in the speculation zone, so I'm going to wrap it up now. But let me know what you think, and we'll continue with the news. Calling all machinima artists. Carbine have decided to employ a few more people to their cinematics team, and they're asking the community if there's any machinima artists out there. They say that this is because some of the skills they're looking for directly relate to machinima production. So if you're a machinima artist and you want a job at Wildstar, feel free to apply. The link will be in the description below. This is really interesting that they're doing this, but it seems that they're doing a lot of content both inside the game and outside the game. So if there's talented machinima artists that are usually used to making in-game machinima, then that's what they want. So if you think you've got the skills for that, then definitely check that out. In this week's Wildstar Wednesday, they decided to talk a lot more about the Storm Talon's Lair. Now this is the first dungeon that's been announced for the game, and there's been a lot of speculation around the screenshots that came out last week and the initial reveal. Well, now this week they've actually displayed the lore behind the dungeon, so if you was ever wondering about what story and what these characters within the dungeon could possibly mean, then go check out the lore post that's been put on Wildstar Wednesday, which would also be in the link in the description. And finally, that brings us onto our community segment. This week we'll be talking about Mission Nexus. They have just uploaded on April the 29th their first episode of the podcast they're doing, and they've just started their podcast, as of course a lot of fan sites like to do this to promote their fan site and of course to promote the game, as well as listening to the actual people behind the fan site talk about the game. So if you already follow Mission Nexus, I'm sure you already know about it, but if you don't know what Mission Nexus is, the link will be in the description, and you can check out the fan site where they have news, they have columns and articles and all sorts of good stuff over there, and now of course a podcast as well. And that brings us to the end of this week's Wildstar Wednesday. I would like to thank you all for watching. If you know of anybody who would like to listen to this week's Wildstar news, please share it with them. Give that like button a click. And guys, I will see you all next week.